I've built a brand of over 2 million followers across all social media platforms. My business partner has built a brand of over 400,000 people just in the German-speaking market alone, which is a lot smaller. How business owners can become the number one in their industry. Today, I want to talk to you about the importance and how to build a personal brand. The first thing is positioning. You have to understand what you stand for and what you stand against. This is not just about writing a mission statement that you'll never look at. I would like you to write down the answers to the following 3 questions. As a founder, as a business owner who will want to build this personal brand, to get trust, to get more of the right types of clients, and to get the recognition and the visibility that you actually deserve. The first question is, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I stand against? At my funeral, what must never be said about me? Why is this question so important? Well, if you want to build a brand and truly differentiate yourself from everybody else out there, it's not going to be a logo. It's not going to be a headline on a website. Nobody cares. You've never bought anything on a website or a service that was expensive because of a headline or because of a logo. That does not matter. What matters is the person. Founder-led brands, businesses that connect from human to human. In order to communicate your message authentically and effectively, because these are the only 2 components that really matter, you have to understand who you actually are. And you know that to a large extent. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten the success that you already have in your business. But I want you to go deeper. What must never be said about you at your funeral? What are you actually about? And this doesn't mean that you have to share your golfing sessions, rock climbing, jiu-jitsu, whatever you happen to be into. You can share those things if you want to, but you don't have to. But I'm talking more about values, but not values in terms of an artificial concept of virtue signaling. This is what I value. What do I actually value? I'll give you an example for me. I, in my other business, help men find the right girlfriend or wife. That's where I build this massive brand. And I just value relationships. The relationship to my fiance, Fernando, who I've been with for almost 6 years, and my friends. So one of the things I talk about there all the time is quality male friendships. And I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but it's important. I, in June, which is almost 2 months ago, a month and a half ago now, made a carousel on Instagram. Usually my carousels get around 100,000, maybe 200,000 views on my birthday. I wasn't even aware that it was my birthday because I was with friends and I was working that day. So I'm on a plane and I'm riding a carousel, flying back from Budapest because we celebrated a very close friend's birthday there. And I'm writing about the importance of male friendships because it really matters to me. And I know that a lot of suffering in the world out there for men is caused by men not spending enough time with other men. If you were to just spend enough time with other quality male friends, most of the suffering you'd feel would disappear. So I talk about that at length. And then I write that carousel, and it's just coming from my heart. Now, I'm obviously a very skilled and effective communicator, but it's also something that is deeply important to me. And I've made posts in the past that I thought are absolutely going to go viral, some that I knew weren't going to do well. And my expectations were sometimes met and sometimes really not. So you never truly know. I thought this one wasn't going to do that well because my brand is around getting more dates with the right women, improving your communication skills, becoming more confident, finding the right woman. And so I make a carousel that's 12, 15 pages long, or however long on Instagram, and it gets 800,000 views. One post. Imagine the monetary impact on the business. But other than that, imagine the impact of brand, where I poured my heart and soul into a post. There I shared a perspective these people wouldn't get anywhere else on the internet. Why? Because it comes from me and my unique experience of teaching hundreds of clients from all around the world. And that is an example of positioning which is led back or traced back to values because it's something that I really care about. So write down your values. What do you actually live out? Not just an artificial concept, but what do you live? What are emotional states you really want to experience? Because then you have a brand that you'll truly be able to differentiate. That's the first question. The second question is, where am I going as a man? What are my goals? What are my goals for the business? What's the vision that I'm communicating as a leader? What's the vision that I'm communicating as a man or a woman? What's my vision that I'm communicating for my life? What do I want? Where am I going? What are my goals? Communicate them. People will resonate with your goals. And remember, out of the entire market, 90% of people, or however many people, depending on the niche, depending on the service, won't like you anyway. And that's okay. And you have to make a choice of how vanilla you want to be. I would always argue in favor of being a little bit more rough around the edges and a bit more authentic and losing a couple of the wrong people, but getting depth with the right people. Because getting depth with the right people, that's where the money lies anyway. That's where the true connection really lies. And the most important thing is, I've helped plenty of people build their brands. JK, Babar, plenty of other people, right? In the German-speaking market, who were basically at zero in the beginning and now have hundreds of thousands of followers, over 100,000 followers, or Klaus, right, with 49,000 followers. But I've also helped people who didn't do it. I tried to help some people and they just didn't do it. Why? Because they tried to have an offer, like a coaching service or something else, and they didn't truly believe it. It didn't resonate with them. It wasn't what they were about. So in order for you to not burn out with making content, which is the next thing we're going to talk about, right? Building a content ecosystem that dominates your niche, it has to be something that comes from you. Yes, it has to speak to the right target audience. Yes, you have to reduce friction in your funnel, all types of friction points. There's no such thing as bad press. Yeah, right. Absolute and utter nonsense. But it's also about communicating a message that is true to who you are, which is traced back in part to the second question, which is, what are my goals? Third question, who do I want with me? And by the way, I got these 3 questions from a book by Jorge Bucay, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Die drei Fragen in German, the 3 questions, or tres preguntas in Spanish, I apologize, I'm butchering it. I think it only exists in Spanish and in English. And these are really powerful questions because they orient you in the world. It's something for you to fall back on. If you don't know, if you're in a moment of uncertainty, that's what you fall back on. And then that is something that you can communicate with certainty, because there's nothing that people hate more than vanilla BS. People are trying to fake something. I don't like that. I don't resonate with that. And if some people resonate with that, fine. I don't judge that either. Third question is, who do I want with me? And then go deeper. Who's your ideal target audience? Look at the people that you've made the most amount of money with in the last, like this year, 2025, last year. Double down on them. The clients or customers who were easiest to work with, spent the most amount of money with you, were the most grateful, were the most appreciative, gave you the most referrals. Double down on them. Do more of what already works. But not only clients, employees. Who do you want with you? Because building your brand will also help you attract top quality talent. If you have a brand, you can get anything you want. And you already have a brand. It's just not enough people know you, or it's communicated imperfectly. So it doesn't quite hit the same. It doesn't create the same depth, because you need width, you need the reach, and you need depth. These are things we're going to talk about more in later videos that are going to pop up on this channel. A lot for you to look forward to. But also write down, what type of employees do I want? What type of friends do I want? What type of investors do I want? If you have your own fund, or if you want to sell your surgical practice, for example, or your dentist clinic to a PE fund, whatever it happens to be, whatever you happen to be doing, who do I really want? And what do I not want? Because here's the thing. I am really interested in long-term. Most of the money you've ever made is long-term. Most of the happiness you get comes from long-term relationships with the clients that we work together. We're very interested in long-term. It's not some short-term squeeze nonsense. That doesn't help anybody. In my dating and relationship coaching business, where I help men find the right girlfriend or wife, that's the essence. It's long-term. It's not just short-term hookups. It's long-term. Now, it's not just getting into a relationship with the first best person, and you have to learn to disqualify most of the wrong leads, most of the wrong people very, very quickly in dating as well as a business. But then the people who you end up with in the long term, that's where the most amount of happiness and joy, and also mutual monetary benefit, monetary gain comes from. So who am I? Where am I going? And with whom? That's an entirely new way to look at positioning. And then it's fueled with soul. Because now we have a base to look at some of the next steps to really build content that resonates with the right type of target audience. Because one more note, people have a bullshit detector. They can sense whether something is off, whether you're just putting on a show, whether you're just uttering the right words. There's a lot of people who utter the right words, but you wouldn't trust that guy as far as you can throw it. I'm not sure if that's just a German saying or if that's in English as well. But you want depth. And I'd rather have you lose some more of the wrong ones, but the right ones, and then get the long-term compounding, mutually beneficial relationship from it. Step 2, building a content ecosystem. If you want to become the number one in your industry, the authority, if you want to dominate your market as a business owner, as a founder, then you have to use content on all platforms. Be that LinkedIn, be that Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all mediums that are available to you. Have a podcast. And by the way, it is not just about going viral for the sake of it. You can go viral in the wrong way. Now, counter argument to that is what's on brand, what's off brand. A lot of people strategize and say, this is off brand. Who decides that? You? No. That's the beautiful thing about the market. The market eventually decides. If a video is good or not, that depends on whether it gets reach. Now, you can go viral for the wrong reasons. Going back to the other side. You want the right reach. You want to be known for the right things. Again, there's no such thing as bad press. That is obviously a lie, as you're well aware of. So you want to get the right reach. You never want to do anything that sacrifices your brand or your trust rather, which is another word for brand, just to go viral. That's not what it's about. But it is about understanding that the content you produce, be that whatever platform that's on, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, has to speak to the general population and also to the right target audience. It has to be both, because we live in an area where it's interest-based. You need to make content that goes to the right people, that has a chance of virality. So in the first couple of seconds of people going through whatever their feed is, you have to have a strong hook that has general mass appeal, and then later in the video tailors it to the right target audience. So people need to know that you're not just going to be doing TikTok dances or some nonsense. That's not what you stand for. That's not the type of people who we help. That's fine. I don't judge it. That's also fun and games. But that's not what we're about. This is about building your brand in a way where it's authentic to you, yet get virality. So figure out, where have you been making content? What have you been doing? If you look at some of the biggest, most successful funds or surgeons or marketing agencies or like whatever business you happen to have, it can even be a bank. Their social media presence sucks. Look at the companies that have a good brand, that make content on all of those channels. They dominate. And you can't just rely on paid ads, because you'll just end up burning money because the ROI won't even be in there. So you want to test organically what works and then amplify that with paid later on. But first, it's about figuring out what actually works and what doesn't. So on LinkedIn, written and video content, pictures plus written, works extremely well. And please don't just use ChatGPT to write it for you, because everybody's doing it. You won't differentiate yourself. If you use ChatGPT, you have to reprompt, use your own, reprompt. You have to be very, very sophisticated about it. But it needs individualization. It can't just be AI-based, because yes, it'll tailor it to your past conversations, especially since GPT-5 came out yesterday. You need your own individual points of view on it. So, mass appeal plus tailoring it to the right target audience. Video content on Facebook Reels, video content on TikTok, video content on Instagram, on all of those platforms. David, you might say, I don't even have time for it. You have employees who can do the editing and who can do the cutting for you. The technical side of this is very simple. This is not about having a cinematic production. This is about the right message. This is about identifying trends, not dances or some nonsense, but figuring out what goes viral, what doesn't, and making sure it's in alignment with your right target audience. So you don't want to be a clown. You don't need to be an entertainer, not a TikTok, I'm going to shake my ass type of dancer. No, you got to make content that's in alignment with who you are and at the same time go viral. If you don't make content, you will have no idea on how to even amplify anything via paid that actually works, and you will not have that omnipresence. Your brand is content. 99.99% of the people who will know you throughout your lifetime will know you through a screen or through glasses. They will know you digitally. A very small fraction of the people who will get to know you in person by actually shaking your hand. Now, obviously, some people you'll meet online and then in person, but your brand exists virtually. There's millions of virtual versions of me right now, or hundreds of thousands of video formats that are being viewed right this second. Dating advice that I'm giving on confidence. That's amazing. Think about how many artificial versions of me are building brand for me while I'm recording this video right now. That's amazing. And that's not just good for me, that's good for the people who are watching, because if you make valuable content, you're a shoulder surgeon, for example, and you help not just pitch your service, hey, surgery, but preventative exercises. These are some exercises for a rotator cuff injury that you should be filming. There's so much valuable content that you can make that people then will naturally want to share. It is actually super exciting because it's not a win-lose scenario. It is truly win-win-win. You win, that person wins, everybody wins because you amplify, because you choose to give more than you take. Making content with the idea of, how can I just help them? And then if you just do that, people will build an affiliation to you through your content. They'll see your expertise and then they'll want to do business with you. You're gonna get yours. It will happen if you provide enough value. And that's a combination of mindset and strategy and what not to do on the front end across all platforms. Number 3, strategic network expansion. You can be featured on other podcasts, for example. You can have your own podcast. You can invite and interview other people and then thereby borrow their audience. If you have strategic partnerships with other companies and you just film that, then you can use their brand and you both grow from that. It's amazing. I did an interview with an amazing fitness coach in Ireland and he has over 1 million followers on Instagram. I have over 1 million followers just on Instagram alone. And it was an awesome long form podcast. We had a great time. We have a friendship that came from this, which is really cool. And we both benefited from it because there was a natural overlap between fitness and dating. So there was zero downside, but a lot of upside for both people. So find those strategic partnerships and collaborate. And again, this doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. If you're an operator in your business, either you're busy with the COO functionality, you're actually operating, you're in the finance side of things, or you're stuck in the fulfillment side of things, wherever you're at, if that's your main focus, that can stay your main focus. If you sleep 8 hours a night, you have 112 waking hours available to yourself per week. This does not take a lot of time. It really doesn't. Going back to the other part of the content and the collaboration, you can create content in a very time-efficient manner. You have a meeting that you are allowed to film. You film the whole meeting and then you tell your videographer what he's supposed to edit in and edit out. You can passively create a lot of long-form content on YouTube and then chop that into clips. You can be invited on the podcast. You can have your own podcast and then chop it into clips. You can do so in a very, very, very time-efficient manner. And if you're a business owner who's already successful in your business, whatever industry you happen to be in, you already know other people who are successful. You get on a podcast that they have, or you invite them on your podcast, that's already going to be a super valuable conversation to the right target audience for everybody, and for you to clip it, for you to demonstrate your expertise. Because remember, people only know about you what's communicated. How are they supposed to know that you're the expert that you truly are if you don't say the words, if you don't demonstrate your area of expertise? And most of that is done through video. It can be done written on LinkedIn or pictures, carousel formats on Instagram, which is a combination of pictures and written, but you have to pick one of the formats, or it's voice, or it's just audio, Apple and Spotify. And ideally you have all of them, but it doesn't take a lot of time. If you do it in a time-efficient manner, this will not distract you from your business. That's just an excuse. There is no reason that's logical for you to not produce content. Whatever reason you think you have, it wouldn't resonate in my industry. People just don't. Oh, really? Remember when the fucking iPhone came out and people were saying, I'm going to stick with the BlackBerry. I was going to say Blueberry. Was it BlackBerry or was it Blueberry? What was it called? What was us? BlackBerry or Blueberry? What was the phone called?
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry, thank you. It's a BlackBerry. No, I need the keyboard. No, you don't. People always resist innovation. You need to make content. You need to put your face out there. It's extremely important. You will benefit from it. Everybody else will benefit from it. And it can be done in a very time-efficient manner. Stop making excuses. Step 4, authority multipliers. You have to build authority and trust through the types of content you produce. Client results, success stories. Hammer that. show that at any possible opportunity. Now, you don't just want to be the kind of guy who just pitches a service, because people are going to get really tired. The reason you're still watching this video is because I haven't pitched you anything yet. Imagine if I would have spent the last however many minutes just pitching you. Thank you, I get it, appreciate it. You want to see what you're going to get. You want to get familiar with a brand to a certain level. So don't just pitch, but show what has worked. Demonstrate, proof. If you've given speeches anywhere, founder panels, whatever the situation may be, fireside chats, film that, put that on social media. That builds so much credibility. With my dating coaching business, when I do seminars in person, we have a room full of clients. I film that. That builds status like very few other things. We can cut that in here, Pavalas, in the video, by the way. So you show that. If you don't know anything about anybody and then you see them speaking on stages, client results, other people reacting positively to them, these are all trust-building elements. If you go to my website, davidmason.com, you find tons of genuine trust elements. There's nothing fake. Please don't fake anything. You will never see me posing in front of a private jet that isn't mine, right? You'll never see me posing in front of a car that isn't my car. I won't do that. It's not about faking something. People will see through that anyway. But you can make yourself look as good and credible as humanly possible while still being authentic. Imagine two circles, authenticity and effectiveness. Where those overlap, that's the zone of genius. That's where the magic happens. Step 5, the conversion engine. You already have a process that generates customers and clients. Now it's about refining that. How do you take all of that attention and then turn it into revenue? Because yes, as we've talked about, you want to contribute value to the people who are watching it, because that's how you build a good brand. That's how people 4,000 years ago in their little village built a brand, because the goldsmith helped the farmer out by giving him a little bit of leather when he needed it, and then he had goodwill. That's how they did it back then. And the principle still holds true today. The context changed. That's all that happened. But it's about figuring out how do we convert them and where do we lose people. At each stage of the funnel, what's the first type of contact, the first LinkedIn post they see, the first YouTube video they see, Instagram, very, very, very important. Everybody's on Instagram. The first video. Then what do they see when they're on your page? What call to actions do they have? What forms do they fill in? What's happening on the website? Your salespeople, qualifications, sales calls, right? Because these are two different steps. Maybe you have a one-call close, whatever. Maybe you have a multiple-step close process. Maybe people come in person. You have to reduce friction at all of those points, because currently you're still losing percentages. Trust me, you're already doing a lot of things very well. You must be doing a lot of things very well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the success where you're at right now. But if you want to get to the next level, these are also points that must be considered. Step 6, consistency and scaling. You have to find a way to scale content through a team effectively. And this is not about just pumping out something en masse that isn't, again, on point with your brand, with who you are, with your values that we talked about earlier. But if you want omnipresence, if you want to be the best in your market and you want to have that brand, then it will require consistent effort. Now, again, you can outsource most of that. Most of that can be done in a very time-efficient manner. But it's about having the right systems and processes in place so that there's no nonsense ever that gets published. And also so that your videos don't just fizzle out, because there's so many videos that just get no views because people have no understanding of how people work. It's not the algorithm on Instagram, it's what people want to watch. It's the psychology of what people are consuming today, not 2 years ago, because trends, they shift and change. So if you're a business owner, a founder who wants to build his brand on social media, click the link below this video and book your free initial consultation. During that call, we're going to sit down with you, or a member from my team is going to sit down with you, and we'll map out a plan based on your individual situation. We're going to figure out where you're at, where do you want to go, what's the delta, and then we'll see if and how we can make that happen. Click the link below, apply right now. Looking forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.